Okay, so we are live. So, hey guys, General CJG here, and I got here my good old Mandalorian buddy.
Django Fett.
Yep. We're here to pretty much discuss one of the Disney Star Wars topics that we did a while back. Only just me and him. And it's because it's non-canon, but it's still pretty fun. It's Star Wars missions. We did Volume 1 back then, and now we're doing Volume 2. So, yep, indeed, Volume 2. And so first, I think we should get our, I guess, what we wanted before we ended up seeing it. So, Django, go ahead.
Do you want to go into Volume 1?
Yeah, well, we can go with Volume 1. Yeah. So we go with Volume 1, and then we say what we wanted for improvements for Volume 2. So go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So Volume 1, I thought was good, solid, start to Visions. Um, I mean, there are a couple of just episodes that were not the greatest, but it was a good start. I do wish there was kind of more episodes in the future and then have it where there's different studios from different countries because if you remember from volume 1 that was all Japanese studios and that there's nothing wrong with that. They're all really talented and they know how to animate and they know how to do a good job with that. It's just that we wanted to kind of see how the rest of the countries out there can respect and take stories from Star Wars and create their own space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and I actually didn't know what I wanted for Visions 2. Well, I certainly did wanted a few of the Japanese studios that already did stuff in Volume 1 to come back, and spoiler alert, we didn't get that. So, yeah, actually, yeah. So yeah, we didn't get that. So yeah. So my expectations definitely were more slightly misplaced, but don't worry, like we still got plenty of good stuff. So yeah. So
Yeah, it feels like there was like a couple episodes, maybe like one or two episodes from Volume 1 that did leave off on a cliffhanger, like
yeah,
Lop and Ocho. And
Akakiri also was one.
okay, that might have been another one. But with Lop and Ocho, it feels like they could have done another, thing from there. Or the Ninth Jedi is another one where I feel like they could have done another, you know, episode continuation from that because that was a great one too.
Yeah. Though your favorite is still, which one was it? The Duel.
The Duel, yeah, that's a black and white. Very pays a lot of homage to Seven Samurai. The old. Um, oh, I'm blanking on the name. Pretty much from the 1940s, I think 40s and 50s. That old movie.
Yeah, it was heavily Japanese, that episode. So
Oh yeah,
it was great. Yeah, my favorites definitely the Duel would be one. Village Bride I enjoyed. Ninja Jedi. Twins was pretty cool, though a bit very over top. Elder was one I actually liked, and La Pinocho. The only ones I didn't like from Volume 1 were Tatooine Rhapsody, Toby, and Nakakiri. Toby because it was pretty much Mega Man slash Astro Boy meets Star Wars. Akakiri because I don't remember exactly, but I just remember it wasn't one that we didn't like that much. Oh yeah. Oh, and ironically, it was made by the same studio that made Toby. I do remember that we did not like Science Saru's 2 episodes in Visions. So
yeah. I know Trigger Inc. also did 2 episodes, The Elder and the Twins. Twins was okay, but I think Elder was probably better.
it was better. Twins was just a lot of visual effects and action, which was still fine. I mean, and it went so crazy. I mean, they even went all the way to space. So clear. I mean, they could breathe in space. So clearly, when they say non-canon, they really do mean non-canon when it comes to
Yeah.
visions. So yeah, Tatooine Rhapsody was the one that you probably did infuriate you a bit, Django, because it made Dirty your favorite character.
Yeah, and it was just it was really just bad overall. It was not fun to watch. It was not even something that kids I think would even enjoy either.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, so that is volume 1. Now, volume 2. So, what did you expect, the Django? What you wanted?
To be honest, I didn't know what to expect from here, and When I watched this, I actually okay. I'll explain that a little bit later on my watching approach because it's kind of funny. But I was just expecting just a really entertaining, a lot of anime infused, and a lot of Japanese studios involved here too. But there's only one Japanese studio involved, which is fine. But I was expecting a little bit more anime style animations involved.
Yeah, yeah. I also was expecting some Japanese, but no, we didn't get Japanese.
Mhm.
And but the Japanese studio, you'll see which episode they did, which you'll probably not like to know.
We'll
You'll
get into
see.
that.
Yeah, so indeed. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect either. I did expect some Japanese studios, but no, apparently they went different angle. So yeah. So shall we go with the first episode of Django?
Well, before we get into that, my watching process was so weird because when I saw the trailer, I only watched the trailer like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I didn't even know this was even coming out because I think the marketing was not the greatest.
Mm.
And when I watched the trailer, I was expecting the first episode to be a very I thought that was the episode that was going to be done by Lucasfilm and a very much a um, Dave Filoni-esque Clone Wars, uh, what is it, Bad Batch style animation. Because I don't really like that animation, to be honest. I
That
know it's
type of that type of 3D animation.
yeah, I know it's a hot take, but that's just me. That's what turned me off from it. But I think I made a huge mistake when doing that because that episode, we're going to get into episode 1 called Sith, actually ended up being a great episode and completely opposite from what I expected.
Hmm. That's something. So okay, episode one. So the Sith, or Sith as it's called. It's basically this episode in which we see this ex Sith apprentice pretty much also being a paint artist and trying to do art and everything, and she's alone with her droid companion, and then apparently her Sith master with two, I guess, special troops arrive, and they try to take her down, make her surrender back to the dark side, but she survives and manages to kill all three of them. And yeah, so well, she did so by realizing that she needed both light and dark to coexist, at least inside of her, I guess, to pretty much win the fight. And then they pretty much escape the planet.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's what it is. I don't know I don't know what's setting it like. I'm question because of the art style. I'm questioning if where she was it really a place or some sort of like crazy alternate reality or something? Because the art style threw me off at first, but once she left the base once she left the base, now I saw okay, it was an actual place. But it caught me off guard. The art style made me a bit confused as to what I was seeing. But since it was non canon, I didn't really mind too much. But I was indeed like questioning, like, is this a dream? Is this like actually real? Or I had my doubts with that. So
Well, this one is a really interesting one to me because it was, I think this one is developed by El Guri Studios. They're based out of Spain. So this was a really unique one. Then I thought this was going to be the Dave Filoni-esque Lucasfilm one, but it wasn't. So this one is more so about like a conflicted painter who is like Lola is like the painter in a sense.
mhm,
So she's trying to the painting of what she's trying to do is like the force in a sense of how she's going to master it. Is she going to make it a very plain, like very black and white, or is she going to make it very colorful? And in the end, she makes it very colorful, and she finds herself in the end
mhm.
by overcoming, the demons of her past.
Her
So,
master.
yeah, which is her master. So I really enjoyed. I really loved the animation. It was such a different departure from what I've used to seeing, and
Oh,
I
I
just
think
loved.
I think the animation itself was pretty good.
Oh yeah, yeah, I loved it. Yeah, it was really unique.
Hmm. It was pretty damn unique. Yeah, I did like it. It threw me off in regards to the setting at first,
Mhm.
but then it got better as time went on. But the art style itself was pretty good. So yeah, this episode, Sif, like it it makes it interesting seeing like I mean, I guess she rejected the Sith ways, but it's interesting seeing an ex Sith apprentice just wanting to be a painter, and then the master's like, "Oh, so this is why you left, because you're a painter." It kind of like mocking her for wanting to just do, just be a painter of life, and that's about it. Like it's an interesting angle. I never really, because as far as I know, we never really seen ex Sith apprentices wanting to do just something that for somebody like Sif would be like, this shit's beneath you, like should be doing much better than this. It's like, so this is like an interesting way to see how an ex Sif apprentice deals with her past and what type of new hobby or passion she's doing. Like,
Yeah,
I
and I
find
think
that
she
interesting.
finds a lot of peace and comfort within painting and such.
Hmm.
So like I guess throughout she's kind of conflicted, but like towards the end, she feels like she has a purpose now, that she's not like just forced to be down the Sith path, but now she's like she can find her own path in a way, and you know this is what she loves to do, so she's gonna just go with that.
Yeah, indeed.
So there's a lot of messaging here, and I think it was really unique to me.
Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss in this one, the jungle?
No, I think just like for each episode, I think we should go into who's creating it and I guess the country, because pretty much every episode is done by a different country, and
Yeah.
I think it's great. Giving a lot of time to like all these different countries and the animation studios within them. So
Agreed. Okay, next one is Creatures Reach, made by Cartoon Saloon, which they are from Ireland.
yep.
Okay, they're apparently known for doing films like Secret of the Kells and Wolfwalkers. They're unknown to me, so if you know them, Django, you can say what you
Yep.
know about them.
Yeah, they did the Breadwinner, which was like one of the best animated films of all time to me. I think it's fantastic. Really crazy, intense storytelling that's shown, and um, I think they're not so much known for their animation, but their storytelling is more of a focus than anything else.
Hmm. And I think that's pretty evident in this episode of Visions,
Hmm.
because Screechers Reach. So when I first saw it, the art style I wasn't really a fan of at first. It got better as it went on, especially towards the second half. But I think while its animation may not have been its strongest suit, the story definitely ended up being its strongest suit, especially the second half. Because
Hmm.
the second half is where shit really kicked into full gear, like for real. So like definitely when you first see it, you probably think, this is probably not going to be the greatest thing ever, or it's probably just going to be meh. But as it goes on, and then you get into the cave of screams, or whatever it was called. Yeah, basically, Screech's Reach is what it's called. Yeah, that's where it's like, okay, this shit's actually getting really pretty damn good. So.
Yeah, I think as we go on, I'll probably explain my like I had some problems with it when it was like getting into like her reasoning and things. But as it goes towards the end, you're like, okay, that just blew my mind. Okay, now I get it. Now that was awesome.
Well, we're discussing the Django, so we might as well go spoilers. So
Right.
go ahead.
All right, so we have first the focus being in a factory with a bunch of kids kind of in a work camp. And one of them, her name is Doll. Yeah, her doll,
It's
and
all.
she is just kind of frustrated. She wants to get out of there, and then she's joined by her three friends, and they go out and they want to go to Screecher's Reach. She tells the story and when she's at a fire uh, of like the Screecher's Reach and stuff like that, and she's constantly holding this amulet. So there's a purpose to that. So just keep that in mind. Um, and she just she hints at things where she's like, I want to go and make a name for myself and get out there, something like that. And they get to Screecher's Reach. It's a really scary cave, and they tell of a scary story that's happened there. Scary lady there, but they think it's just myths. But they decide to go there, and they discover a creepy witch lady, like a banshee of sorts.
She
And
was
they
creepy.
Yeah, and then they all run because the cave is almost falling. Yeah, you start to see it collapsing, and they're like, "Hey, oh, come on, you got to come back!" and she doesn't come back. There's a reason why, and she's like, I got to do this, and she goes face to face with this crazy banshee lady who activates a lightsaber, and you find out she's like a dark Jedi. So she tries to escape. She tries to get out of that situation, um, and she actually uses the Force to make one of the rocks come down on the Screecher or the Banshee or whatever. And, you know, the Banshee's trying to get the lightsaber in her final moments. However, you don't see what happened, and you hear that lightsaber activated, and you don't know what happens. So then it goes. Doll gets out of there. She has the lightsaber. I think she has a lightsaber in her hand. Pretty sure. I don't.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So she has a lightsaber. So she gets out of there, and then a ship comes, and she's like, I don't remember the exact moment, but she goes face to face with this really menacing figure, and pretty much says that you pass the test, and you could come aboard, but you have to leave your friends.
Mhm.
And so constantly she was touching this amulet on her neck. So she was communicating with this Sith lady. And the Sith lady's like, okay, I'm going to teach you. You're going to be under my wing. And she just, when she meant she wanted to get out, she wanted to get out by any means possible, even if it means sacrificing her friends. So she leaves off in the ship, and in her last, she just looks at her friends, just broken, disheartened about the whole thing, but she wanted to get out, and her friends are just like disheartened too, and it's just an extremely sad ending, and then that's it. She just leaves right there, and I at first I thought her reasoning like why she left and stuff like that. Well, not why she left, but why she stuck in the cave. I was like, why would she do that? That's so stupid. Just get out of there with her friends. But she had a purpose, so she could strike down the witch lady, so she could pass the test and get out of the planet and become a Sith as well.
Mhm.
So she would do anything, any means necessary to get out of there. So this was a really unique perspective to come from someone who, wants to get out and then becomes a Sith in the end. And it was a really sad story in the end because she leaves her friends are disheartened, and I feel a mix of emotions about Doll. Like, do I hate her? Do I, sympathize with her? It's kind of a mix.
Especially once you realize that the menacing figure that's talking to Doll is apparently called the Sith Mother. So it's
Yes.
a full-on Sith Lord. So you know that shit's not gonna go well.
Yeah. So while the animation here is not the most unique or special, I mean, there are some moments where it's pretty good when they go in the
The
landscapes and
cave.
stuff like that.
I think
The
the
cave.
cave against the ghost was the best
Oh yeah,
animation
yeah,
shot
that was great.
because that fucking ghost was creepy as fuck when we first see it. That's just nightmare inducing. It's nightmare inducing when we first see the ghost. They
Oh,
really did a
it's
great
not a.
job.
Is it a ghost or is it dark? Or is it a banshee?
Well, they call it a ghost. According to Wikipedia, they call it a ghost, but in reality, it was actually a living female Sith of sorts, with the red
Oh,
lightsaber and shit. But they call it a ghost, but it doesn't have name, so
yeah,
which is interesting.
dark apparition,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, they call it a ghost or screecher, but there's no name, so we can just assume that it was just some sort of a fallen Sith or fallen Dark Jedi or something that
Mhm.
ended up, kind of terrorizing whomever comes in and killing them, like a ghost would.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, the art style wise, its biggest strength was definitely when they were inside the cave against the ghost, because the ghost definitely was creepy as fuck to see.
Mhm.
Like that was some crazy animation to make something scary as fuck. That was their strongest animation wise. So yeah, their weakest is definitely the very beginning when we first see the episode. I think that is the weakest.
Yeah.
hmm But aside from that, yeah, the episode, its biggest strength is the storytelling, not so much the animation. And yeah, I guess it's pretty. I guess pretty telling from these people, Cartoon Saloon. So yeah. Anything else to mention on this one, Django?
Yeah, it's this one was probably the most surprising of the bunch. So yeah,
Hmm.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, so now we go to number 3, In the Stars, made by Punk Robot from Chile.
Mhm.
Chile studio. Okay, so I'll let so the Django. I'll let you go first. What what did you expect from this one?
I hmm, I was expecting like a mix of like a Kubo and the what was it Kubo and the two strings animation. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with that. There was like a movie a couple years ago called Kubo and the two strings or seven strings, something like that.
Don't remember
Um,
now.
but the animation is very similar to an extent, where it's like a lot of like looks like a lot of clay figures used. And if you see the behind the scenes, it's really cool. They do the behind the scenes for that, and then they show there's some really cool things with this. But I didn't know what to expect from this, to be honest. So
Mhm. Okay, I don't know what to expect either. So starts with the two sisters, the last remnants of I don't know what planet it is or or what species it is. I just know that the small girl is called China and the older sister is called Koten. They're pretty much surviving. The planet is controlled by the Empire because the Empire has been completely just sacking it off from all sorts of natural resources, water in particular, and they need that to survive. So they have to pretty much survive on their own because since they're like the only ones left, because everybody else was killed by the Empire when they tried to pretty much take back the planet from the Empire, including the mother of the two sisters, but didn't happen. They all died, and they pretty much were ascended to the heavens, to the stars. So yeah, and so they're pretty much arguing which older sister wants to just survive, little sister wants to fight. So they have to get more water, so they go for they go for water. The older sister gets the water, but unfortunately, the younger sister decided to follow soon, gets captured, and they have to escape, and they start fighting and everything. And the younger sister wants to pretty much take down the factory by using the force to take down the huge the huge reservoir of water that it will pretty much just wreck the whole station. And first she can't do it, not strong enough, and then they're surrounded. The the imperial officer, the female officer, is like gets an ATSD out, and they're ready to shoot him. But then the two sisters they combine the force together, and they pretty much manage to take down the entire factory, and they pretty much completely free the planet from the Empire. And then from the heavens, their entire people, including the mother, they are pretty much they were always with them, and that's how the story goes, for a summary of it.
mhm.
So yeah, what do you think of this one, the Django?
I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I love the animation. There's two distinct animation styles. There's one where it's them currently in this claymation style, and then there's also when they're talking about the past and they
In the paint,
use in the painting. And I like both styles, and I think it really complemented one another.
they did, yeah.
Um, yeah, so I really liked the animation quite a lot, and you know, both. It's interesting because I saw the behind the scenes for this and pretty much most of the episodes for the on Disney Plus for each episode, and in this one they have the original actresses who were speaking in the Spanish, and then they also had the same actresses also doing the Spanish to English as well. So
Oh,
yeah, so that was cool. I love to see like the authenticity of it.
authenticity.
Yeah, of it all for the original actresses who do the original language to you know whatever language English or whatever.
Mhm. That is interesting. Then I may have to watch it in Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, because I want to hear from your analysis as well because you come from
I am from Mexico, so I didn't know that. Had I known, I would have actually seen it in Spanish for preparation.
yeah, yeah. I mean I wouldn't mind seeing it in Spanish as well too.
Hmm. Do you understand Spanish?
No, I don't, but I'll see the subtitles. I just
Okay.
like, you know, I respect the material, so I wouldn't mind.
Okay. Well, that was something. As for me, I enjoyed it a lot, and I definitely enjoyed the animation and everything. At first, when just seeing the poster, you could probably think it's one of those TCW wannabe episodes, but no,
Mhm.
this is not that one. This is actually pretty damn good material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you feel like this little sister is a little annoying at first, but then you kind of see like where it's coming from, and you're just like, okay, I get it. And then the older sister is like, okay, you know, you're my sister. I gotta be with you by my side always and protect you. And you know, most of their designs, you know, of the sisters, is from Chilean, like a Native American tribe there.
Yeah.
So a lot of the designs that they use for those, and a lot of the culture from Chile is just used and imbued here.
Hmm. Yeah. It definitely, it definitely makes me. It definitely makes me think that that. Oh, what was it? Um, damn it, my. So, yeah, I something I noticed in all these episodes is that basically. Is that basically all of these studios, they basically do their own like it's they like put their own culture in these episodes.
Hmm.
Yeah, and here you see Chile. In one that we see later on in episode 7, we do also see that it definitely looks like it comes from India, and it's because the studio is from India. So yeah, definitely you see that they do put their own spin in terms of their culture and stuff. So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
indeed. So so yeah, indeed. Huh. Anything else to say on this one, Django?
No, I got nothing else.
Okay, so now we go to episode 4. And okay, episode 4. This is a okay. I'm not saying this because it's bad. No, I'm saying this because I'm surprised. So, out of all the years that I've seen Aardman animations, the guys that made Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, like especially Wallace and Gromit. I grew up with Wallace and Gromit in particular. Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the World Rabbit. I actually have that on DVD. So out of all these years that I've seen them, I never in a million years expected them to do a Star Wars themed episode
Hmm.
for
Yep.
Lucasfilm. Uh, psh,
Okay.
I'm lost for words on that. I'm lost for words. So, the Django, what do you think?
All right, so it's called "I Am Your Mother" by Aardman Animations from UK, and as General CJG alluded, Aardman, who's known for Chicken Run, Shaun the Sheep, and many other great animations out there, they did a Star Wars episode here. And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be fucking awesome!" And I couldn't wait to see this episode right away.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know you told me and a few others that Arnman was going to be involved, but actually, part of me was like not believing it. Like I
You
mean,
didn't
part of me
believe me?
believed it. Part of me believed it, but part of me didn't, because I actually was like, how would that look? And then I see it, and I'm like, oh my god, I like that was something like just yeah. But okay, Arman. So, do you want to tell the story in this one, the Django, or do you want to save it for the next episode?
Let's see. Let me see.
The
If
next one is Journey to the Dark Head.
I can do this episode.
You want to do this one?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, well, go ahead. I'm your mother.
Okay, so how do we start this one? Okay, so we have. Okay, so there's a lot of things associated with Aardman that you'll see right away,
The
especially the naming,
animation. The animation.
the animation, the naming of things, the cameos here. There's a lot of things here that you're just going to be laughing the whole time, and they're known for their humor. That's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the thing with Aardman animations. Hence the name. I am your mother. I am your father. You know, just like and her name, the girl, his name is Annie. So
Mm.
okay, so the main character's name is Annie, and she is to go to. She's in what is a pilot school or something like that. And
It's basically it's basically flight
yeah,
academy, which I assume is probably does exist in actual canon in Star Wars, not just in Star Wars but also the Expanded Universe.
yeah,
So I don't think this is out of the realm of existing, that there's an actual flight academy led by I guess New Republic, because the one the one that hosted this race was Wedge Antilles,
and it
and
was,
seeing him in the Artman animation. Oh my god, I will never take that out of my mind anymore. I'll
and
never
it's
be
the
able.
original actor Dennis Lawson
Wait,
who plays.
what?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah.
Oh
I looked.
shit, that's true.
Yeah, he did this episode.
God damn. Okay, that put some extra some extra spice in this already great.
Yeah, yeah. So he
uh,
voiced it. He wasn't really like a main character. He was just kind of in the background, really. But
oh
you
yeah.
know, it's great seeing the original actors being
I
involved.
mean, the last time that Wedge did something, or Dennis Lawson did Wedge, was in
Rise of
Rise
Skywalker.
of Skywalker. Yeah,
Uh,
that. Yeah, that. But you
yeah.
know what? Here he's done much, much, much better.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I recommend everybody see the behind the scenes for this too, because I mean, if you've seen Aardman's like behind the scenes for other movies, they do the same here, where they do a lot of stop motion claymation, like constructing the claymation figures like one by one, and it's insane what they do here. So definitely check out the behind the scenes, especially for this episode, because it's fucking nuts.
I've never seen the behind the scenes for Wild and Grab It and Chicken Run, so I probably will have to do it for this one here
Yeah,
because
it's crazy because like most animation nowadays you just do by computer and
yeah.
it's all digitally,
Mhm.
but they still fucking do constructing the whole different figures and sets and all this different stuff. They do it like by hand, and they have to do every little motion, you know, scene by scene by scene, like every little second. And they have to move their mouth, they have to move their hands, they have to move every little thing from them. And it's
Mm.
crazy. It's very intensive, and they did that with the recent Pinocchio movie as well. So
I
it's
didn't know they did
really,
Pinocchio.
yeah. Well, no, not Aardman. It was a Guillermo del Toro. He did his own Pinocchio movie, but they did the same
Oh,
thing
okay.
here, where they just like did all the different motions for the claymations.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, I forgot that Arman also did Flushed Away. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that.
Oh yeah, I like it too. So, yeah, yeah. So Aardman, I definitely know them over the years. I just never ever imagined them doing Star Wars, but they did it pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
so for this one, Annie is waking up by her mother, and she goes to the flight academy for Republic or whatever it is, and she goes there, and apparently there's a race going on between the families, and she didn't tell her mother at all that there was this race happening,
Mhm.
and she forgot her lunch, and her mother comes in this really ugly looking ship, and they're about to start a race, and she just comes right in the middle of the race and she's like, "Hey, what's going on here, Annie? Like, why didn't you tell me about this race?" And it's just like, that's kind of, thinking about it, it's just like, why wouldn't you tell your mom just about this race? It's kind of messed up. But in a way, it's like, I mean, as a teenager, yeah, of course you're embarrassed by your parents all the time. Every teenager is like that.
Mhm.
So I could see that. So then there's like this other bully sorts character and her mother. They're like, move your dump out of here. And she's like, you know what? We're gonna race. And they join the race, and everybody races together, and they actually win in the end. And I love this, man. I really enjoyed this episode quite a bit, and it was, man, there were so much good animations in this Visions Volume 2 overall that I'm still debating like if this is the best one, but I loved it, man. I love the
Hmm.
animation. I like the story. It's a really heartwarming story, and it's fun. It's funny. It's got everything.
Yeah. Well, this one is not my favorite. My favorite is coming up pretty shortly. But yeah, I definitely think this one is on the top three. But it's mostly because it's Aardman, and I already was a fan of Aardman before. Now this with Star Wars, yeah, I officially can never ever ever look Wachantil as the same ever again. Now I officially see him as in his freaking his freaking vision self, which is literally God. I just can't unsee that. Seriously. Oh my god, that is just amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it's and once again, I must reiterate: go check out the behind the scenes for this because it's really fucking cool, and they actually do like most of the motions they do themselves, but they don't use the mouths. The mouths they actually use a lot of animatronics for that as well. So really cool stuff.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So yeah, love this episode. Anything else to say on this one, the Django?
No, we can move on.
Okay, Journey to the Dark Head. Okay, this one would probably be my favorite. It was made by Studio Miracle Ltd from South Korea.
Mhm.
So, and I really enjoyed this one because like it's not only the animation was already pretty damn stellar, but also the way it was telling a story and everything. Like it was just great. Like, what do you think, the Django?
Yeah, I loved it. It stars a Jedi, young Jedi who's distraught over his past, and then you have a mechanic also joining in the mix, and they have to make this quest and do this quest to take down this statue. However, things don't seem like that, and she has this, the vision in the beginning where the Jedi and Sith are battling it out, and she sees that in the, actually happening with what's his name, the young Jedi fighting out against the Sith arch enemy. So I really enjoyed this. I love the animation. Animation was fucking phenomenal. And this is the thing, CJ. There's so many great animations here that it's so hard for me to decide which one is the number one because of how great
Oh yeah, that's
a
true.
lot of the episodes were here.
Well, fortunately, we can decide which are the two worst episodes. That much will be
Oh,
easy, but
absolutely. That's yeah.
at least we can decide which are the two worst. But the best, yeah, that will be difficult. So yeah, but we'll get to
Apparently,
the worst pretty soon.
I was just looking on Wikipedia, and this one is the timeline. It's non-canon, of course, but it says it's 1,032 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Oh, I actually thought it was during the prequels era. 60
Yeah,
BY or 50, somewhere there. I didn't know it was before the Rusan Reformation happened. Well, Disney's version of that, at least. I actually didn't know that. But then again, I mean, who gives a shit about the timeline in Mission? Seriously.
yeah.
So, but
I mean,
it could happen anywhere.
I just liked in this episode where it's of course it's a lot of yin yang, South Korea, homage to it, their infusion,
They really
and
like Yin and Yang.
I think that's where it's. Well, I don't know if it's China or forgive me, China or South Korea, but I think it's South Korea that had the yin yang thing
Oh,
going on.
China. I just searched China.
Okay, correction. Okay, but it's like good and evil, pretty much, and I think this. I like the mystical elements of the story and trying to figure out, what is like how to take down evil. Is it right to just take down the statue or there's a lot of things going on here.
A lot of morality issues and also gray areas because
Mhm.
the story goes that basically this. Oh wait, you wanted to the? Oh, I'll do
No,
this
you can
one.
do it. That's fine.
Okay, so basically one. I believe it was some. It was. I don't remember what on where exactly she was. I think she was in a temple that somehow these rocks could pretty much make visions of the future of sorts or the past. And she sees the rock and she sees three silhouettes. battling it out, and well, two silhouettes battling out, and a third one just watching it, doesn't know what it is, and then she decides she wants to tell the Jedi that if we can destroy this dark side statue, it will end the war once and for all. No more dark side, no more conflict, no more anything like that. And so that's what she sets out, and so she pretty much manages to convince the Jedi Order to go, but she gets assigned a Jedi to pretty much help her on her quest, and so they go to the planet, and at first they don't seem to get along too well, the Jedi and the mechanic, but then over time that definitely changes, and then shit goes for the worst when apparently a Sith Lord from the past of the Jedi shows up and is now hunting them down, hunting the Jedi in particular, because he wants to turn the Jedi to the dark side, because he's seen the anger and the fear inside of him and wants to turn him. And so they managed to get to the statues, or the ring that holds the statues, and while the mechanic is pretty much going to blow up prepare to blow up the statue, but which the mechanic is named Ara, if I recall, and the Jedi is Tool. So Ara's preparing to blow up the statue, but then while Tool is fighting the Sith Lord, but then Ara realizes that the statues, well, at first it seems that one is fully in the light side, one's fully in the dark side. Turns out that they start to, the colors, the blue and the red, they start mixing together, making it seem questionable which one is in the light and which one is in the dark. And that pretty much makes Ara be conflicted to actually blow up the statue. And so instead, she decides to not blow up the statue and actually directs her bombs and missiles towards the Sith to pretty much liberate the Jedi, because the Jedi was almost going to get killed. And that gives the Jedi the opportunity to pretty much cut the Sith Lord's head and pretty much just end that conflict. And they pretty much go back, and by the way, the stone that the mechanic that Ara had in her vision, turns out that in reality the two silhouettes fighting were the Jedi and the Sith, and her witnessing it. And that's where she pretty much came to circle and realized she had to help the Jedi, and she did. And that's where pretty much, and then they pretty much just went to do whatever other mission, whatever they need to request, and they already had a good friendship at that point. So yeah, that's how it went. And so, what do you think of this one, the Django? Lots of things.
Yeah, I really loved it. Love the animation, and I love the story. And it's, there's a lot of conflict, like whether, taking down a statue, is that really going to take down the dark side, or is taking down the dark side going to be good in the end? There's a lot of, questions up there, because I think that it wouldn't. Like, I think that even if you take down all the Sith, you still need dark for the light. So that's always a constant that needs to happen. And if you take out, all the dark, then, the light's going to be conflicted as well.
Usually that is the case for most stories, and in the case of this Star Wars, definitely. The way the expanded universe did it is differently, where basically the dark side is more like a disease, a plague, a cancer of sorts that has to pretty much be as nullified as possible. But as much as you can try, you cannot really destroy it. So ultimately, the Sith will in some way return. So in the EU, it's not a matter of balance. It's a matter of pretty much making the dark side as weak as possible. But in this, in Star Wars, and to some extent here in Visions, it's basically being a balance. So in that sense, then yeah, and here definitely does a good job of keeping that sort of mentality. But even excluding all of that, because it's non-canon, did a pretty good job in actually, a yin and yang of sorts. It was pretty great seeing that, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
indeed. My favorite part, I think the animation is my favorite part, though I really like the morality message in the end, and like that too. So yeah, I don't know what my favorite thing is. Could be one of those two. What was your favorite thing in this episode?
That's a good question. I liked everything about this, but it's the morality, and the fight between both the Sith and the Jedi. I love a lot about this.
It was great. So yeah, indeed. Anything else you want to say on this one?
No.
Okay, now we go to number 6, the Spy Dancer. This is an interesting one. So this one was made by Studio La Cachette from France.
Mhm.
Yep, French studio. So so this one, do you want to tell the story of this one, the Django, or should I do it?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
So this studio, Studio La Cachette, was actually involved with Gennady Tartakovsky's Primal.
Hmm,
So that was pretty cool. Um,
nice.
their involvement with that. So I like Primal. Season 1 was pretty good. Season 2, it was fine. It was good. But at least they were involved with Gennady Tartakovsky's work, and they recognized that. So
Mhm,
with this Spy Dancer, we start with a bunch of Imperials going into what looks to be a fancy cabaret of sorts, or like an act that's going to be happening there. And they're invited by these dancers to come in and to put on a show like this, like almost like this big giant opera house of sorts. And the Imperials are sitting it out, and they want to enjoy the show. And we cut to our main character, blanking on her name, but she's part of the rebellion. Her and a bunch of their dancers there are part of the rebellion there, and they don't like the Empire at all. But they still
mhm,
put on this show because they want to collect information and do things on the side just to kind of lull the Imperials. So
mhm,
they always put on the show, and once the main character does her performance, you see this really cool performance where she's using these uh, great white clothing where it's just kind of flowing, it's going all over the place, and it looks really cool. And she just throws like these devices all over, spy devices, to everyone. And then she notices a shady character who looks very familiar to a character that she's seen in the past. And it's later revealed that that similar looking character resembled a character where, um, her child was taking, her baby was taking from her um, in the past, and her village was like destroyed or something like that. So she remembers that moment quite fondly, and later on she fights and escapes from there, and she comes to face with the Imperial who put the dart on. And she fought this robot, and she and another dancer were fighting against the fighting off against the Imperials there. And eventually she gets to the top of the roof, and she's about to escape, but she encounters the same Imperial, and it's later revealed that that Imperial was her son, which is really cool.
That
And
that
yeah.
also, yeah, that actually surprised me, because
Mhm.
I actually thought it was just gonna, like, there was just gonna be another random officer after it wasn't the same officer that took her son. I thought it was just gonna be another random officer, like just maybe just asking him questions or something on where to find him. Like, I actually did not expect that officer would end up being her son. I
Yeah.
didn't expect. That caught me off guard.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's also, there's like a couple hints, but you didn't really expect it. Where one of the dancers was about to fire on him, but she like blocks it, and you just kind of don't know the reason why. And then when she encounters the guy again on the roof, and then she's not, because she can easily kill him, no problem. She does like battle the Imperials and does a lot of like, she can stand her own, no problem, and especially against one on one with him. But for some reason, she's holding back, and then she's like, "Reveal your horns," because later on, it's he removes his hat, and then his horns are cut pretty much. They're like sawed off. So yeah, it's revealed that she's his son, or he's the son. In the end, where he removes his hat, and he's like, "Okay, I get it." And it kind of leaves him questioning, like, "Oh my goodness, like, hey, is this like, am I truly like human or an Imperial, or should I be like, with my mother, and like why was I taken and all this stuff?" So there's a lot of conflict within him, of course, I see as well.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely an episode that surprised me. because I thought it was gonna. I kind of thought that it was gonna go the way I thought, and not entirely. No, it
Yeah,
went a different way, and I enjoyed that.
yeah.
It was great. So yeah, animation wise, it was pretty interesting. What do you think of the animation?
I actually liked it. It was going for a very. It's not like I wouldn't say it's minimalistic, but I think that's the direction they were going for, where it's just like there's not much detail where it comes to like the Imperials and different different things in the the characters and stuff like that. But it doesn't seem like as detailed as something like Journey to the Dark Head, where it's like super like incredibly animated in that sense.
Mhm.
Um, so I think I really liked it, and I especially liked the cabaret act that she was pulling off with her like flowing clothing and stuff like that, and using that as a weapon, and kind of flying all over the air with her weaponry and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, indeed, it was great. It was great. So yeah, anything else to say on this one?
Yeah, I just really like the storytelling, really like the animation, and yeah, definitely recommend it.
Okay, well, now we go to episode 7, and I think these last three is where we can tell they definitely were saving the least best for last, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so episode 7, The Bandits of Golak. So this is the one that Django would describe as this is TCW, like. Uh,
Yeah, this was probably the most TCW of the bunch. It's by who
it's
is
an
88
in,
Pictures and based out
yeah,
of India, and
yeah,
the animation is very much similar to Clone
TCW.
Wars.
Yeah, it
All
looked
the
a
different ones.
lot like it. Yeah, hell, you can even see one or two of the alien species that look like their models are almost ripped off from TCW. Actually, yeah, I'm not kidding. Yeah, there actually was. There was a Jedi Master in one of the TCW episodes. One that helped recover Ahsoka's lightsaber. That it looked exactly the same as in here. Now I know it's because that's how the alien species looks like, kinda. But it looked like the model was ripped straight out of TCW. I'm not kidding on that one.
Yeah,
So yeah, I can definitely see this really being TCW like, which is it's kind of surprising because this is an Indian studio. You think how do Indians do their animations at Django? Like how do they usually do it?
I don't really see really any Indian animations and stuff like that. So I don't really know, to be honest. But this was like probably one of the first times I've ever seen an Indian animated studio do something like this. I thought they would do something like a little bit different, a little bit more out there. But there were I didn't mind this episode. I didn't hate it or anything like that. I thought it was fine. I just think the animation was just not really. It was okay. It was fine. Well, I would say it's meh.
Mm. Apparently, okay. I researched 88 pictures, and apparently they seem to have made Troll Hunters. You heard of that?
I think I've heard of it, but I never watched it
It's
before.
on Netflix and my DreamWorks. Well, it says DreamWorks, but apparently it says here that their work has, but they are credited in their website on working on Troll Hunters.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
I guess Troll Hunters. Okay, so that's interesting, but yeah. So story wise, basically a big brother and a little sister. They're basically fleeing from their village because they're being pursued by the Empire, and they go on by train. And the little sister gets a bit too let's just say she decides to use the force in not the best play time to do so, and that caused the attention of the Empire. So big brother caused a distraction, so they can pretty much so the Empire pursues him instead of her. And then apparently some rebel bandits or insurgents actually are attacking are attacking the train, the Empire. And then the big brother and sister manage to arrive to the village, and there they're greeted by some some old lady bartender of sorts, and then apparently a Sith Lord arrives, or an Inquisitor actually, with two special dark troopers, whatever they were, and so and then basically the Inquisitor is like wanting to take the little girl with him because force sensitive, so of course want to train to the dark side. And then the old lady bartender turns out to be a Jedi, and they fight, and she defeats the Inquisitor, and then unlocks a path that was hidden in the waters so that she can take the little girl and pretty much just go on a path to make her into Jedi. And the big brother gets left behind, but not without having the flute that the little sister really liked, because it was their father's flute. And so that's how this episode goes. It wasn't real. I mean, there were a few surprises here and there, but yeah, this definitely felt like something you could see in TCW. Like it really did.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it was fine. There were some things that I like seeing where it was like there were just thinking about it's like there was like this one alien that was just going rube rube or something like that. I don't know. It was just like so like
Oh yeah.
talking about some candy or something like that. And then when they showed the candy, I'm like, oh, I recognize this candy from like India and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I get that. But I thought that part was like really funny to me. I was just like, oh my god.
Makes sense considering it's an Indian studio animating. So yeah. When I first saw this episode, I was like, interesting, because I saw the characters and everything, and they looked like they were pretty much they were definitely from the Indian race, Indian culture, and when I saw it, I was like, this is something I've not seen in Star Wars before. I wonder why. And after I finished watching the episode and I researched, okay, now I understood that it was made by an Indian studio, so that explained it. But I was just confused first because it really looked like something that Lucasfilm could have done, animation wise. So that's why I was like wondering. But no, it turns out. It wasn't Lucasfilm who did it. It was somebody else, even if it looks like it came from DCW.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anything else to say on this one, the Django?
No, I think we can move on.
Okay, next one is the pit. Okay, so do you want to take this one, the Django?
Not really. I really don't want to get into the spoilers. Like,
we have to.
go.
We have to.
Okay, but it's by Dart Shatarjiro and Lucasfilm. So it's a collaboration between the Japanese and US studios.
So this is the Lucasfilm episode, which kind of sucks that this is where the Japanese studios' efforts went into.
Yeah. Okay, where do I go into? Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'll try to be brief. As brief as I can. Okay. So Imperials come to this planet. They dig up this hole. They make the slaves dig up this hole. More slaves come in. Keep digging this hole. And eventually to find these crystals. Force crystals. Get these crystals, and there's like a city that is built within months, I guess. And they take the crystals, then they leave all the people behind. And one of the people from there, the slaves, tries to escape from the top, and goes to the city, and it's like, hey, we need help. There's people here, yada yada yada. And then some people are like, okay, whatever. And then he goes back. He tries to escape from the Imperials, and they throw him back into the pit, and he dies. And then they sing a song. They say, what was the phrase? Some dumbass phrase.
Follow the light.
It was the cringiest fucking thing I've ever heard. Follow the light. And they kept on saying that like over and over again. And then eventually people from the city hear that shit. And then they come in and then they take them out. And then the Imperials just run away. And that's it. I honestly think this was the worst animation or the worst Visions cartoon ever. Like from volume 1, there you could say Tatooine Rhapsody is probably the worst one, but at least that had something going on and some interest behind it. This one has zero. It went fucking nowhere. I hated this one.
Yeah, this. So when I saw it, I at first I thought it was an interesting, idea. Like the Empire using miners to pretty much dig up kyber crystals, and then they abandoned them to in the pit. I'm surprised they actually didn't just outright kill them, or just I don't know, or maybe just take them to do other digging operations or something. Like I don't know, but you know what? Leaving them there to die in the long pit, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's pretty much the Empire. So yeah, then of course there's a kid like, oh, I can just go up and find help and everything, follow the lights. Yeah, they follow the light thing. Ugh. So the kid gets to the city, tells everybody, and I'm just wondering how the fuck did the entire city was like, yeah, let's actually go to where that hole is and pretty much and help all this, like that. That's not how realistically it would go.
No,
Maybe
no.
if you,
Most people don't give a shit about anybody else but themselves. So
yeah.
why the fuck would they be like, okay, let's all go out and save them? No, they wouldn't give fucking two shits. They would be under the rule of the Empire, and they would just be minding their own business.
Mm. Yeah, like that's yeah, like see that's the thing, and not to mention what, like, yeah, I can see the Empire brainwashing the city's folk into believing that they built everything, they got the kyber crystals and not the population, everything. But even if that wasn't true, even if that wasn't true and the truth was revealed, do you really think the entire city would still be like, oh yeah, I'll relinquish the Empire, I'll literally abandon all of my home, my life that I already made in this city, like just to save these people? Like that's not something you do overnight. That doesn't make any sense. Like
Mhm.
this definitely felt like one of those plots that you see for one of those dumb kids films. The solution is like pretty simple, pretty cheesy and corny, and we see it. And then with everybody just saying, follow the light. Like
So cringy. So cringy.
how did those screams get to the fucking city? Were they using the Force or what?
Yeah, because I was hinted that, oh, she has the Force, so she must have done this. Like, no, fuck you. That's not how. Oh my god.
God damn it, yeah, like the first half was going well, but the second half just went into all out. What the fuck was they? Were
I
they
feel
even
like the
doing?
first half didn't really go anywhere. Like, I was like, what
It
is it
ended
doing?
up
Like,
going nowhere. It ended
yeah.
up going nowhere.
Well, I mean, in the beginning too, I was like, where's? I mean, like, I don't understand what are you trying to do? Who's the main character? Who's the focus on? Like, is it Empire? Is it this one guy? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah. See, the beginning I found it interesting because yeah, we were giving we were giving the premise, we were giving what's happening, and what's the conflict here. Like I can see that, and then we're shortly seeing the main character, like the kid. But then of course the kid gets killed, and then and then somehow the entire population, like the episode just lost its way halfway into it. Like it really felt like it just lost its way. Like I don't know what the hell happened. Like clearly they had something good going at first, but then they just completely just derailed it into just nonsense and just stupid. And even more stupider is the Empire just like, oh, we'll open fire, and then the population just just literally just shoves them aside to see the entire prisoners, and the Empire's like, let's just leave, we're not gonna do anything about it. Like what
Yeah,
the
apparently there's like 5 Imperial stormtroopers, and that's it.
what happened to the entire fucking garrison? God, this episode was, I'm telling you, this episode went full on dumb in the second half. It just went dumb.
I hated this. This is honestly the worst Visions episode I've seen by far.
I'm just wondering, was this what the Japan studio did or Lucasfilm? Like who's
I
it
think it's
playing for
Lucas.
this?
I think it's Lucasfilm with the writing.
It could be, considering that, well, we've seen Lucasfilm do stupid shit before in their animations.
A lot of stupid shit.
Yeah, so do you think it would have been better if it just a Japanese studio did it all on their own?
Probably, yeah. I mean, because Volume 1, there was like a bunch of them that they ended up very well. So why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could have done stuff. Yeah. So yeah, worst episode, and so yeah, and unfortunately, the next episode is not much better. I mean, it is better, but still though, but still doesn't reach any heights of the previous episodes. So okay, so oh, before we go, oh, so any final things you want to say in the pit, the Django, or just just
God
want to move
no,
on?
fuck that episode. Ignore it like the plague. Do not watch it. Do not waste your
uh,
time.
okay, so last one is episode 9, Owl Song. So okay, this one was made by Triggerfish from South Africa. I don't know what they've done before, so if you know the history, Django, then go ahead.
Yeah, I really don't know. I have to look it up, but I I don't know how I feel about this one. This one was a really weird one. There was a lot of weird things going on here. Um, Nuts. Okay, so why don't you get into it? Then I'll explain.
Okay, so Owl Song. So basically, it goes with two aliens, Owl, the little girl, and the other one. I think it was called Act Two. Uh, a bat, I believe, damn it, one of those two. Yeah, a bat. Yeah, he was basically a bat. So basically, they work in this planet to pretty much try to, because they live in this planet that apparently has its entire reserves of kyber crystals, its caves, fully corrupted by a dark side, because a Sith order pretty much came in and corrupted the shit out of it. Like all the kyber crystals were corrupted, red, dark side. So yeah, and so basically, and a Jedi comes in periodically to visit a bat and Au to pretty much see if to collect the crystals and see if they can purify them, and they don't seem to do much luck. Au, when she sings, she causes something to the crystals, like they react negatively or something. And a bat is like, don't be near the crystals, don't sing to them because it only causes bad things. So yeah, and then in one occasion, Abad goes to work, leaves out to work some there. I think it's just cleaning. I think it was I think it was I don't remember I don't remember the name of the monster, but the old monster. But basically, she's just cleaning some animals, and then she decides to sneak into one of the caves of the Kyber crystals and pretty much see the crystals. She sees them all, like she's surrounded by all of them, and she starts singing. And the crystals are just starting to glow blue, like she's kind of purifying them. But then she's interrupted by her father, a bat, and gets her out, and the crystals get unstable and are like almost destroying the entire planet. And then at one, then they fall down. They do get rescued by the Jedi, but the Jedi's holding off the rubble. And then Au sings like non-restrained with nobody to stop her, and she completely purifies the entirety of the crystals, and pretty much just everything is back to normal. Everything is just all well and good, and the Jedi decides to take Au into her own wing to pretty much train her to be the dark side, the light side, to be a Jedi, Jedi.
Dark
So
Jedi.
yeah, and so at first they were hesitant, but then later on they accept, and she goes with the Jedi, and that's where it ends. So that's how the story goes, and yeah. So this one I'm not a fan of for several reasons. But do you want to go first, Django, or should I go first?
Okay, so I can go first. I liked how they were trying to approach the animation. However, the execution just didn't work for me because there were some this out of all the episodes here, none of them gave me a headache as much as this one. Like I literally had a headache when watching this because of
Really?
yeah, because it was the frame rate was really bothering me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It
There
was
were a few
really
times that the
fucking
frame rate.
weird.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. That some animated movies and TV they have to shoot at 24 frames per second. I get that,
Mhm.
but sometimes it felt like it was in less frames of that. Like 18 frames or 16 or something. And in my cell phone, it wasn't too noticeable. But when I switched to the TV, it was way more noticeable. Like I actually noticed the frame drops a lot more, and I was like, man, this animation is a bit rough around the edges.
Yeah, it's really odd too because it's like you will see that and it will be normally 24 and then it will go into this really weird stop motion 18 or whatever it was. And then you'll see some other characters or other things in the background will just be normally 24. and was just like, just be consistent. If you're gonna commit to 18 or 24, just fucking do it. Don't keep switching it around and give me a fucking headache at the end of the day. Just stick to one fucking thing.
Hmm.
That's that out of all the things here, this one really bothered me that happened. Like, just be consistent, and I just fucking hated that.
Yeah, that definitely is a problem. It's definitely is a flaw. Now, as for the other things I didn't like about this episode, is it me or the Django, or is this one of those episodes that feels like it's one of those? It's one of those. It's one of those kids or simple kids oriented movies that you've seen. You know, one of those where like it seems that there's a big problem, but then the solution is like a really simple one. You know, for the kids, could be either singing or dancing as the solution to solve it all. Like, because I felt like that was the case, because the premise was very interesting. Like an entire planet's kyber crystal cave reserves completely corrupted by the dark side, by a Sith order. That shit is an interesting that shit's some interesting storytelling potential. Like if you actually make it into a canon story, it actually is pretty good potential. Like how would the Jedi deal with that? How would the rest of the planet deal with that? Because it's corrupted by the dark side to the point in which the kyber crystals are like dictating what the hell's going. Like that shit is some really good storytelling potential,
Yeah.
and it's wasted in this simple kids oriented video that the solution is like goddamn simple that not even a full-blown Jedi could do. Come on, like that was wasted potential. Like they could have gone so much further or something. And I know that this is, I guess it is oriented towards kids and everything, but but come on, this storytelling idea is really, this premise is so goddamn good, and it's wasted on this. Like, come on.
No, I agree. It's especially like, especially since it's a Star Wars project that everybody's going to see, everyone wants to enjoy. But if you're going to do something like this, even if it's not Star Wars, or you want to make a family film, like an animated film, if you make it just for one audience, for kids, and you make it really big and dumb and just for kids and then all, you're going to alienate the everybody else who wants to enjoy it with their kids. And if you just and you know, that's the thing that I don't like. And you know, they had an episode here like I Am Your Mother by Aardman Animations, focused on some kids, and they made it for everyone, and that's what everybody wants to see and enjoy. And then this one, like you said, for Ao Song, this was just felt like it was tailor made for just kids, and that's it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was just tailor made for kids, and it completely dumps down wasted potential for a really good storytelling idea. Like it's a storytelling idea that would really work in the new canon. Like it would hell, you could even probably make an entire TV show or something out of it, or even or even a movie of sorts, but or a short movie at least. But no, it's just wasted in this one episode that's just for kids, and that's sad. That is
Yeah,
sad.
yeah, I didn't like the story, and the animation was just so weird to me. And yeah, yeah, I didn't like this episode.
The animation also definitely felt on the kids oriented, but its biggest flaw was definitely the inconsistent frame rate.
Oh yeah, yeah, I fucking hated that.
Yeah. By the way, I researched triggerfish, and turns out they've done some. They're apparently pretty popular in Africa. They basically did some movies called SEAL Team, Kumba, Adventures in Zambesia, and then for TV they did Kisasi Moto, Generation Fire, Kiyan, the Kimoja Heroes, Mama Case Team 4. Uh, so they uh, so they've done some stuff even for Disney, Snail and the Whale, Zog. So they oh, and the Highway Rat and Revolting Rhymes. So and Stickman. So they've done some stuff. So I don't know any of those, Django. If you do, you know any of those?
I have no, those sound like just more kids focused.
They
And
did look like that.
I'm just looking at the cover art, and most of them look like Madagascar ripoffs.
Maybe, maybe they're that. So, but yeah, yeah. So it is so surprising. Like Visions Volume One, its flaws were two, maybe three episodes not being that good, but that was like one was in number two, one was in number six, and number nine. So they were spread out. So if you got a one bad one, you could at the very least just watch the next one. It would be pretty good. This is like they put the worst ones at the fucking last third.
Yeah, and I can't believe I made the mistake because like I watched the reverse and I watched the worst ones first, not the good ones, the fucking worst ones. And I learned my lesson. I'm gonna be watching 1 through 9. I never do 9 through 1, like watching it backwards to forwards. I never do that. But
But
in
why?
this one, I had to do it. I just wanted to see it, and I
But
ended up watching the Lucasfilm one and the House song, and just like, oh my god, why did I
and band is
fucking
a
do that?
callback.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I mean, for Visions Volume 2 overall, it's great. There is a lot of great ones. It's just the last 2 or 3 that were not that good. And Volume 1, there's a couple of bad ones and forgettable ones, but there's also a few great ones. But in this, I can say in Volume 2, there's plenty of great ones overall.
Oh yeah, it seems that the ratio is pretty similar to Volume One. Like 6 of them are great, one of them is probably meh, 2 of them are bad. So it's the same ratio. The only difference here is that they put all of the bad at the end. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So you know what? You know what? I mean, in that sense, then maybe if you already know that the last few are bad, then you can just watch 1 to 6 and skip the other 3 if you don't want to deal with the worst of the worst. If you don't want to.
Yeah.
Bandits of Kolak is mess, so you could watch that. But the last two, no, just
Don't
no.
watch. Do not watch.
Yeah. So yeah, and so that's Vision Season 2. So yeah, the Django. So overall thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I loved it. There's a lot of great ones. There's plenty of different studios involved, and I am really curious to see how they will do with Volume 3 and like what studios are going to be involved. Are they going to have? I don't think they're going to have the same ones. They're going to have completely different studios, and I'm just going. The one biggest one that I really want. I've been saying this for a million years now. Studio fucking Ghibli, because I thought they were going to do one, but they wasted their fucking they forced them to do something fucking stupid and redundant like Grogu and at 2 minutes short, and it was a complete fucking waste of time and waste of their time as well. So stupid. I can't get over how stupid that was.
if Vision Season 3 is announced, the Django, and Studio Ghibli is not in that list, how would you react?
I'd I'd probably be a little upset, but I'd get over it because I know there's going to be other. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I've had problems with Lucasfilm, but when it comes to picking studios to do these visions, they do a pretty good job. I mean,
With
they
Visions,
recognize talent. So
yeah, they do a pretty good job when it comes to missions. Everywhere else, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes they pick well, sometimes they're not. Yay! So
yeah,
but when it comes to missions, yeah, they most of the time pick the right studios. There are a few dots, like them straight up making an episode, being very involved in an episode, which ended up making it the worst one. Good job there. So, but they've done some great stuff. So yeah, and as for me, yeah, I enjoyed Volume 2. Like Volume 1 was great. Volume 2 also great. I am surprised that it is the same ratio of good and bad, 6 out of 9. I'm still surprised on that, but at least in here we can actually pinpoint where the bad is and pretty much just say skip the bad, whereas the other one it was more difficult. So I'll give him a bit of credit in actually saying, okay, the bad is at the end, so you can pretty much just end it at 6. That's a bit funny to me. But yeah, indeed. So yeah, so that's Vision Season 2. So any final things to say, Django?
yeah. I mean, just in general, I mean, want to emphasize that if you recognize, if you know like great animations and you want to see something like really different when it comes to Star Wars or just see some great animated shorts or in general, watch this, watch Volume 1, watch Volume 2, up until episode 6 or 7, and then just stop it from there. But I guarantee you're going to have a good time. You're going to be like, okay, this is pretty cool. And I like the direction they were going with this, and seeing different talents from all over the world participate in Star Wars. That's what keeps me excited for more of these. And I think the potential is there for more and more to come. And I hope they have like, more episodes down the road. And instead of just 9, put like 12 or 13 or something, just and have more studios involved, or have continuations from like the Ninth Jedi or something, or Journey to the Dark Head or something like that. Because there's a couple of them where just like it feels like you feel like they could continue off and have another episode, or do something different from there.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. La Pinocho would definitely be one of them too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it seems that they just want to alternate the studios and make different things. So
Yeah.
so they're not really following on any plot lines. Which, I mean, on one hand I can understand. On the other, it does suck that some of them, well, were left on cliffhangers to some extent. So there's that. Anyway, so that was Vision Season 2 discussion, and well, we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars video. Bye bye.
See you guys.